I was just Larry, walking onto the crew team amongst these giants. But somehow, 35, 40 years later, Coach Bergman still calls me Big Larry. And I've got to tell you, Coach, that is one of the great joys in my life. I got to tell you. But so where'd that come from? Why does Coach call me Big Larry? This is one of two, this shirt. You know, David and I came back a couple of years after college. A couple of big starboards who would normally sit in the middle of the boat so we didn't get in trouble in a little pair. Dave switched over to port, and we didn't hurt anybody. We didn't break the boat, and we had a couple of shirts made up. So there's a shirt that says Big Fat Dave up in Skinny Atlas that's sitting in a drawer somewhere. But, you know, as I was thinking about what I wanted to share, and again, this is, if I don't get through this, I may not get through this because this is so overwhelming to see all of you come out and Dave's whole family here, just to kind of share what he meant to you, whatever that was. And you know, what he meant to me was everything. You know, he was just the most incredible friend and person to me that I could have ever imagined. And so the Big Larry thing came because I was next to Big Dave. Because he was Big Dave, right? There was never any question. Like Matt was saying, he showed up in the boathouse and he was Big Dave. And somehow, I ended up next to him. You know, it started with Coach Bergman again. You know, I had a hard time my freshman year here. I was a kid from the middle of Long Island, had no idea about this place, this school, this Ivy League thing, you know, and all of a sudden, a couple of guys from the rowing team who lived down the hall from me said, "Do you row?" I was like, "Row? What are you talking about?" You know, I come from Long Island, we've got a lot of water around, we've got rowboats and lifeguards and they row in rowboats. No, crew, you know, it's a thing here. And so I started learning a little bit more, and it was actually John Ridgway. John Ridgway lived down the hall. He kept bugging me to go down and talk to Coach Bergman. So I come down to Coach Bergman, all 6'5" of me, long hair, I had a mustache at the time, very late 70s, early 80s, very scary. And somehow Coach saw something and said, "Hey, why don't you take an erg home for the summer and then come back in the fall, you'll row with the freshmen, let's see how it goes." Don't know how, why he saw whatever, but that started a 3-year incredible experience with this wonderful group of men, all fine boys, Coach. And then a lifelong friendship with David and his family. You know, it wasn't just David, it was the family. Because when David welcomed you in, he welcomed you in with his whole heart. And he welcomed me in. And I think because he welcomed me in so fully, you know, I was always next to him and it was Big Dave and Big Larry. You know, and it just carried through. And David had a way, and I think Matt touched on this, he didn't use his height to intimidate. He didn't use his height to be scary. He used his height and his strength and his personality to bring everybody else around him up. He truly did. And it was, for those of you who didn't get to row with him, it was an epic experience to be behind David in a boat. You know, he had these broad shoulders, and he was big, and he gave himself to every stroke. Even if we were paddling, I think Rob Meyer may have mentioned it in the email string, this deep, dark puddle. Even when you're paddling, he was always, the arms were out straight, the back was up tall, and he was just, so rowing behind him was a friggin' treat. All I would do is just focus on his back, you know, coming over. And he was just, he kind of carried me through life. You know, there was a time before David, I had about 18 years of my life, BD, kind of before David, and now we're just finishing the first 1 year, you know, AD, and then I had this wonderful, you can do the math, then I had this wonderful 30-something years in the middle where just Dave was a presence in my life, his family was part of my life, and it was just all wonderful. You know, it was all wonderful, and it was all because of him. You know, my life was just so greatly enriched, you know, because of who he was. And I think part of what happened here with all these guys coming back there after so many years, you know, some of them having not seen him in all that time, but just through the emails, wonderful emails of support and love. Even before David passed, the guys got together and did a terrific workout, which meant the world to him on Zoom. He got to see them supporting him. You guys got that photo, that championship photo from the IRA, and signed it and sent it to him. Hung over his bed towards the end, and that meant the world to him, you know. And I think what's important about today is just, I think his family understood what this world meant to him, but a lot of it was through myself, through Andy Goldberg, you know. And I think for them to come here and to see the support from all of you is just, you know, a beautiful thing. I mean, the joy and kind of love in my heart is unbelievable. And you know, nothing can bring David back. And I go through some tough times as I kind of remember and miss what won't come. But you know, to see the boat here with his name, I like what we settled on. I like the David, being David Reading, because that's just who he was. And it's actually the second boat named after David. I don't know if everybody, even his family didn't realize that. But he coached at Colgate for a couple of years, and there's a picture on the table of the first David Areen. They loved him, and the parents donated and named a boat after him. So this is actually, how many people get one, let alone two boats named after him? Tells you how special he is. But I was gonna share more because, like I said, it's just a lifetime of wonderful experiences. But I hope you guys will introduce yourself to David's family. You know, his wife Deirdre, his two beautiful daughters, Alex and Sophia. His in-laws are here. His mom, his uncle are here. His brothers and sisters, you know, his two brothers, his three sisters are here. You know, say hello to them, share a thought, because it's been a tough year for the family. You know, David lost his father a year before he passed, a little bit more. But David actually eulogized his father in the midst of fighting this horrible disease, and he did such a beautiful job. And his father was also a friend of mine. I consider his dad a friend of mine. He and I would sail together and play tennis together. I'd visit Mr. and Mrs. Areden on the vineyard without David, you know, because I just love him so much. And, you know, share some thoughts, you know, say hello. And, you know, I just think this is the most wonderful thing. And the thing I want the family to understand is that this all came about because of these guys. You know, their connection to David's rowing world, they knew how important it was to him, was a lot through me and through Andy. But this happened because these guys wanted to do something special to honor Dave's memory. And I can't imagine it being better. I can't thank you all enough, you know, and just love to the family. And I'm just so proud to be here and be part of this family and part of David's family. Thanks so much. Thank you.
David's wife. And public speaking is not my forte on a good day, but I'll try to keep it together. Most importantly, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the family. It's incredible, all of you coming together to buy this boat for David, to organize this day. It's tremendous. It's beyond words, as Larry said. It's just, David would be so humbled and so touched. And when I knew it was going to happen in October, and when I got the date, Larry sent me a text. And I have to say, when I first saw the date, you know, the actual anniversary of his death, I'm like, whew, my heart, you know, skipped a little. And then I swear I heard David's voice. Say yes, say yes, say yes. They are buying me a boat. No joke. And also, what better way to spend this day but with all of you to bring the family together, to bring his friends together, all of us. I can't think of a better way to celebrate David, to honor him, and share stories, and just, yeah, be together. So I can't thank you enough. I just want to say, please, thank you to everyone who donated and everybody who's here. Stories over the years, and he had all these shirts, all the shirts, you guys probably have too, that you won at races, and he would give them to the girls, sleep in some of them. He would give them to friends' daughters and cousins who then went rowing, as inspiration. And because for a while they were just sort of getting a little moldy in the basement, but I pulled him out, and he wanted to share that excitement. He still had so much excitement about rowing, and it was so important to him. And he drew on that strength too, especially when he got sick. And he had an erg in the basement that, the whole time I knew him, he would have a hard day at work, he'd go on the erg. But when he got sick, it became even more important. And he was running. I know it was the discipline of running and the discipline of rowing that helped him get through the day, the one stroke at a time. He would talk about that. And Larry and his daughter brought up his erg from the basement when he couldn't go downstairs anymore. And I would be worried. I'd be worried he'd sit on that erg and be a little tippy. But he kept doing it. When you guys had that event for him or came together on Zoom, he wanted to get on, even though it was hard. And so he would love us all to think of him when we're running, when we're rowing, when it's hard at the end of a race. Just listen. I bet you'll hear it. Just finish for him. It helps me get out of bed. It helps me keep going, because David loved life. He loved life. And I know he'd want us all to be living life, embracing it. So, stop. But thank you. Thank you all.
It's going to be hard to follow that act. I always like to go fourth because of the cleanup batter. I found out that I couldn't play baseball, so I got involved in coaching crew. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, because now I had a relationship with all these guys, and of course with Big Dave. First time I heard about Dave was Larry Connell was our assistant coach, and he also was in charge of recruiting. And he said, "You should take a look at this kid from Lower Marion. He's a big kid, and maybe take a look, see if he wants to come to Penn." Little we know Dave wanted to come to Penn, but the big kid was Big Dave Reed. And along with that package, we were fortunate enough with this class of '89 group, which was Larry did a super job recruiting all you guys. He sold you real bill of goods. And we also got Andrew Goldberg, who was a coxswain at Lower Marion. So we got a general along with a big horseman, and it worked out great. So I'm very fortunate that Big Larry took care of us here. Not Big Larry Gilman, Big Larry Connell. Okay, when you row at Penn, you become part of a big extended family. And that doesn't last just the 4 years you're here, it's for a lifetime. Dave was and is still part of that family. So I just wanted to thank all the guys that supported Dave, showed compassion toward his family, his wife, his children, during his illness. And to me, man, that was really something that was totally impressive and really heartwarming. So I appreciate all the efforts you men went through. And it's because you loved your brother. You are your brother's keeper. And no matter what went down, a lot of times I used to tell you not to keep you. If you had too much kickaboo juice the night before, to make sure that your brother didn't make a a-hole of himself and get thrown off the team. But you are your brother's keeper, and you love Dave, you cared about him. And who wouldn't love Dave? as Matt and Larry were saying, he was a gentle giant. He was kind, he was caring, he was just awesome. He was a good man and sometimes a fine boy also. Here's some of the things I admired about Dave. As Matt was saying, his intelligence. He was really bright. He helped bring the GPA average up on our team a lot. And I still remember his folklore major. He was awesome. He had a passion for that. He was kind. He had a great sense of humor. He was calm. He flatlined a lot there. His competitiveness, very competitive, as Deidre said, he had no quit. He had a lot of grit. Even during his illness, he was fighting until the very end. That's all he can ask for us in our lifetime. Give it a good shot every day you have, one stroke at a time. A great memory for me, which I didn't know about until much later, I don't need notes for this, was Dave rode in the championship crew, and like Deidre said, he won a lot of shirts. The crew he rode in won a lot of shirts. This '89 group was an awesome group of men. They won the IRA championship for the first time in a long time. They won the Eastern Sprints, Dave's crew. The IRA, they won a lot in the pair, the straight four. We just had an awesome year, and mainly because of the men we have here in the road with Dave. And Dave did get a lot of shirts, that's for sure. But the story goes that Dave had the will to win so much that when the race came, he would try to row the boat by himself. He thought he was a stroke in the 3-seat. The stroke was not there, but he would go crazy, and all of a sudden, the story goes that Chris Boland, and probably with the help of Joe Keeley, I'm sure, said, you know, we're going to talk to Dave about this. So supposedly, Chris calls Dave aside and says, Dave, listen, just go 90%. Your 90% is like 100% for everybody else. So I could still see Dave, he was probably pumped up, his ego was all out. Yeah, my 90% is as good as these guys' 100%. So that smoothed the boat out, and they were very fast. I can still remember the Eastern Sprints. I would go down about the 500-meter mark. There's a little place you could jump, like you keep from throwing up there, because coaching may look easy, but as Coach Volk will probably tell you, it's a lot easier to compete and row than watch your crews because you can't do anything. It's up to them. So, about 600 meters ago, and I'm sure some of these guys will correct me if I'm wrong, they looked like they were a little bit behind. And all of a sudden, they start to fly. They're just getting seats all the way down the course. I mean, those guys are really moving. Well, Boland was not afraid to sprint at any time of the race. So they took it up to 40, over 40, my stroke watch said, but I wasn't blind yet. I could still see it. And they just rode away from the crew. And they were flying. There was Big Dave leading the pack at 90%. Just stroking right down the course. And I always like to call it, and you guys know it probably doesn't feel like it to you, effortless effort. It just looked like they were hardly even rowing, but the boat was really moving. When you really get it right, and when you're ahead, it feels like that a lot. So that's just some of the memories I have of David, and I just want to thank all you men that contributed to this beautiful shell in honor of Big Dave. And I just wanted to let Deidre, Sophia, and Alex, and the Reed family know that Big Dave is always and will always be, and your family will always be, a member of the Penn rowing family and the Penn community. We love him, we miss him. God bless him. Thank you.
We did a little test row the other day, and it's fast and confirmed. The guys are enjoying it, so they're very excited about it. And it's a big deal for our team to get new equipment like this. I will say, I think, like, for me, while you need good equipment to go fast and to compete, it's more than just that, right? The boat doesn't just carry rowers across the finish line. It carries all the stories that go along with it. And, you know, all the stories that these guys have told today, I've heard yesterday, and we'll continue to hear over the years. That's the important stuff, and for me, that's what rowing is about. And that's why this sport didn't matter so much to me and to all the people that I've rowed with over the years. These boats carry those stories, and so I can't thank you guys enough for contributing and giving us not only buying us this boat, but giving us those stories that we can continue to carry on and add to the history of Penn rowing. I'm very excited about this opportunity, and I really appreciate it. So I think the bottle is ready. So I think now's the time to christen the thing and make it official. So I would like to get Dave's family to come up, if you would like, and do the actual christening.